Yes, you can find that on the brand new Nine Inch Nails record With Teeth. And I'm still chatting with Trent Reznor, the frontman for the band. Now, did I read, were you originally a classically trained pianist?
Yeah.
Is that something you're still kind of in a quiet moment? Do you ever sit down and tinkle the ivories with a bit of Chopin or Rachmaninoff?
I wish my technique was as good as it had been, but really what happened with me is I started young, and I was naturally good at it. And then I was being kind of coerced into considering dropping out of school even to become a concert pianist and studying with a nun and just stuff that when I was 13 certainly didn't sound that good to me. Puberty was hitting, and I discovered rock music, and the idea of being sequestered away somewhere practicing all day didn't sound like a good way to meet girls. So my attention kind of shifted to being less about being great technique at one instrument and more about knowing a lot about a little about a lot of different things. One of the things on my list of stuff to do is practice again.
Right. If only to sort of seduce or woo one of those hot-looking girls in the audience.
You do raise a good point.
I know, it's interesting you say, the desire was to get good at a lot of instruments, because I think it's kind of fair to say one of the hallmarks of Nine Inch Nails albums is you have, played most of the music yourself. Is that the case with White Teeth?
Yeah, I did everything on this record except drums. I knew I wanted live drums, and I knew that I wasn't able to play them as well as I'd hear it in my head. So it started out not so much from a megalomania point of view. It was more, I couldn't find anybody. I was in Cleveland when we started out, and I couldn't find anybody that had the same taste or had the same interest that I did musically. So it was either not do it or just figure out how to do it myself. But I liked Prince a lot at the time, and I thought, he did it. I'm taller than he is. I
just want to ask, you mentioned the live drums on the track, which I believe were provided by Dave Grohl. What did he bring to the sessions?
Well, the kind of team that worked on this record primarily was Atticus Ross, a programmer friend of mine and right-hand man, and myself, and then Alan Moeller came in. And when I was writing the songs, I kind of had in mind that I thought it would be good to have live drums through the whole record as a different engine behind things. And that really was just because it felt more inspiring than programming this time around. May not be the case next time. In fact, it's kind of not becoming the case on the stuff I'm working on right now. But when it came to thinking who's going to play the drums, I had my drummer, Jerome Dillon, play on a handful of things, some of which are kind of earmarked for the next record. There's a good chunk of songs we did that just were more than this record needed. And then we started thinking there was a sound I was going for, and we kept mentioning, something kind of like a Dave Grohl type sound, and I heard myself say that 15 times in the studio, and finally went, well, I could just probably call Dave Grohl, and see what he says, and I happened to be around and was free, and a couple days later we were in the studio.
He's played for just about every other band, so the chances are he might make time for Nine Inch Nails.
Well, you can only say no, really.
Yeah.
It wasn't wrangling him into what I wanted. It was basically, here's the track, and let me start playing, and very little comment from me. It just really came out great.
Oh, great. The new album is called With Teeth. It's available now in Australia. And you're coming to the country, playing Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane in August. Tickets go on sale Monday. Trent Reznor, thanks very much for joining us on Today this afternoon.